All right. Hello, people of YouTube. So today I found more Reddit stories to react to. Let's get to it.
My friend got my mom pregnant, so I made him regret it. Whenever someone said they didn't have a sister, he'd smirk and say, "Give it 9 months." It was dumb. Always landed somewhere between awkward and inappropriate. But
That is just weird. Honestly, that is hella weird. Honestly, that's real weird. That's fuck.
was Derek. Loud, unfiltered, charismatic in the way that made teachers like him and parents ignore the red flags. We were
So you're saying that the, he pretty much just meant it literally. Ah, fuck.
close, grew up together, same block, same school, same everything. He knew my secrets. I knew his tells. So when he made the joke to me one day, slapped me on the back and said, "How's your sister?" And I replied, "I don't have one." And he grinned and said, "In 9 months you will." It didn't feel like a joke. That night I came home and saw his hoodie on the kitchen chair. Then I heard the creak of the stairs. He walked out of my mom's room like it was the most normal thing in the world. He froze when he saw me. I didn't say anything. Neither did he. Just gave me this dumb shrug.
I wonder what happened in that room, you know? I'm kind of wondering what happened there. Anyone else?
Like, oops. I sat at the table for an hour after that. No food, no words, just breathing. A week later, my mom sat me down, told me she was pregnant, told me it was Derek's, said they didn't meet.
Fuck. How is that even possible? I'm pretty sure this is legal. Illegal, bro. I'm pretty sure this is not even legal, I think. I think in some countries.
For it to happen, that it just did. I stared at the floor until she stopped talking. Then I got up and left the room. No yelling, no slamming doors, just silence. But silence doesn't mean forgiveness. Silence is just where planning begins. First, I cut him off completely. No texts, no calls, no explanations. He tried to play it cool. Kept hanging around like nothing happened. Made little jokes in front of my mom. "Guess I'm gonna be your brother and your best friend." Laughed at his own lines. He didn't know I was watching. I knew he worked at the local recreation center. Coach's assistant, part-time, but important to him. So I paid Coach Abrams a visit. Said I heard Derek had been bragging about banging one of the moms at the center. Didn't say whose mom. Didn't need to.
So there's more. There's more victims. Holy shit.
Dropped him that weekend. Cited optics. Next, I stopped by Derek's older brother's place. The guy's ex-military, hardline discipline, zero tolerance for drama. Told him Derek got a girl pregnant and was crashing at the girl's place like a king. Didn't say it was my mom. They got into a fight 2 days later. Derek moved out for good. Now he was living full-time at my place, sleeping in the room he used to crash in after video game marathons. Except now he was doing it as my mom's boyfriend. I smiled when he moved his stuff in, because that meant I had him exactly where I wanted him. His car, a beat.
Good shit, good shit, good shit. Yep. I like where this is going.
Civic he thought was cooler than it was. Started acting up. My uncle's a mechanic, good with sabotage that doesn't leave a trail. A few tweaks to the timing belt, some loosened bolts here and there. The car would stall, overheat, eat oil like cereal. Eventually he had no money left, nothing coming in either. Derek was late to every doctor's appointment, every job interview, every errand. Then I let my friend leave a crying toddler with him for a practice babysit, 5 hours. By the end, he looked like he'd aged 10 years. He started snapping at my mom, telling her he was doing his best. She started crying in the kitchen more often. The final straw came at dinner. Mom said they should look at apartments for when the baby arrived. Somewhere close, maybe a 2-bedroom, somewhere they could start fresh. Derek snapped, said he wasn't ready for this, said she tricked him, said he didn't sign up for a damn family. Then he
You probably should have thought about that, Derek.
looked at me and said, "You think this is funny?" I said nothing, just picked up my fork and kept eating. 3 days later, he was gone. Packed up his stuff in silence and left before sunrise. No goodbyes, seems like he had to go get the milk. It's been 3 years since, and last I checked, Derek
Bro went to get the milk. Yeah, good joke.
was serving 10 to life for armed robbery. Seems that the whole thing took a real toll on him. My teacher tried taking my
Yeah, good shit. Good riddance, honestly. Good riddance. Alright, next story. Let's see.
My teacher tried taking my prosthetic leg off in class because she
That is messed up. Already just messed up.
thought I was faking it. I've been wearing a prosthetic leg since I was 9 after bone cancer took my real one. By high school, I'd gotten used to explaining it to new teachers, showing my medical documentation, and moving on. Most educators were understanding and supportive, but Mrs. Henderson, our long-term substitute for AP Biology, was different from day one. She kept making comments about kids these days faking everything for special treatment, and would stare at me whenever I used the elevator or took extra time transitioning between classes. I tried showing her my 504 plan and medical records, but she just rolled her eyes and muttered something about convenient paperwork. The breaking point came during a lab practical. I was working
working at my assigned station when she approached with this smug expression. She whispered that she'd dealt with attention-seeking students before, and that my little act wasn't fooling anyone. I explained again that my prosthetic was real, even offering to show her the attachment point, but she just smiled coldly. "Prove it then," she said loudly enough for nearby students to hear. "If it's real, you won't mind me checking." Before I could react, she grabbed my prosthetic leg and yanked hard, trying to pull it off like it was some costume piece.
This teacher is absolutely insane, honestly. What the hell? Why would you ever do that to a student? Bro, that is completely insane.
Pain was excruciating as the socket twisted against my residual limb. I screamed and fell backward, knocking over lab equipment as she continued pulling, convinced it would just pop off. The entire class stopped working. Several students started yelling at her to stop. My friend Jake was recording everything on his phone, initially thinking it was just another teacher-student argument, but quickly realizing what was actually happening. Mrs. Henderson kept yanking, getting frustrated that my leg wasn't coming off easily. She was actually damaging the prosthetic's locking mechanism and causing serious pain to my residual limb. I was crying and begging her to stop, but she...
Man, if this happened to me, I would be throwing hands. Bro, I would be throwing hands. Honestly.
insisted I was putting on a show. That's when the principal walked in for his routine classroom observation. He saw a teacher physically violating a student, trying to rip off what she assumed
And it was at this moment that the teacher knew she fucked up.
was a fake leg. The look of horror on his face was immediate. "What are you doing?" he shouted, rushing over to help me up. Mrs. Henderson, still holding my damaged prosthetic, confidently explained that she was exposing a faker and that the leg would have popped right off if it was real. The principal's expression went from confused to absolutely furious when he realized what had happened. Jake showed everyone the video he'd captured. You could clearly see her grabbing my leg, me screaming in pain, and her continuing to pull while I begged her to stop. The evidence was undeniable. She was escorted off campus within the hour and fired before the day ended.
R.I.P. Mrs. Henderson's career. R.I.P. Can we get some prayers in the comments for Mrs. Henderson's career? Amen.
The school district immediately launched an investigation, and my parents filed both criminal charges and a civil lawsuit. Mrs. Henderson lost her teaching license permanently and had to pay significant damages. Some people just can't believe disabilities they can't see, even when the proof is right in front of.
How was your life?
R.I.P. Mrs. Henderson, honestly. R.I.P. Good riddance to OP there. Exactly what I would have done, except with less throwing hands. Alright. Alright, the third story. Alright, let's see.
How was your life completely ruined in a matter of mere minutes? I was drinking my morning coffee at 7 a.m. when 4 police officers
can we rewind back to that?
I was drinking my morning coffee at 7 a.m.
Yup, average day in Finland. Average morning here in Finland. Yup.
When 4 police officers barged through my door and tackled me to the ground before
Not so average morning in Finland.
putting me in handcuffs. You're being arrested for inappropriate conduct with a child. You have the right to remain silent. They dragged me out and stuffed me into the back of the police car while the whole neighborhood watched. I tried to defend myself on the ride to the station, tell them there has been some misunderstanding, but they'd yell at me to shut my mouth, or else they'd put down on my report that I was resisting. At the station, they threw me in an...
Are these cops corrupt, or are they just doing their job? To me, it looks like they're kind of corrupt cops, you know?
interrogation room where this detective kept saying the same thing over and over. "The boy you babysat last night told his parents what you did. We know everything." I kept trying to explain that nothing bad happened. I've been babysitting Tommy for 3 years. His parents, Mike and Sarah, were like family to me. Just last week, Sarah had texted me saying I was the only person they trusted with their son. The detective just shook his head. "That's what they all say. You groomed the family first." They then tossed me into the cell and left me there. And while I sat in that cell, my entire world collapsed. My wife Lisa came to see me, but she couldn't even look me in the eye. "I already packed your things," she said through the glass. "Don't try to contact me or Jasmine." Our daughter was only 8 years old. My own mother came next, and the words she said still haunt me. "I didn't raise a monster. You're dead to me." The guard told me they'd already called my school. 20 years of teaching down the drain. My brother...
Oh, shit. Man, not the teaching career, not the career, bro. R.I.P. Why is every teacher like getting accused of inappropriate behavior with children, honestly? Why?
who works as a cop in the next county sent a text that the guard read out loud. If you were in my jurisdiction, I'd make sure you never made it to trial. By noon, Mike and Sarah had organized a Facebook campaign. One of the cops actually came to my cell just to show me and laugh at me, saying I deserved it. My photo was everywhere with the word predator stamped across it. The post had 15,000 shares. Someone doxed my address and people were spray painting things on my house. My life as I knew it was officially over. The next day, they told me some child psychologist was reviewing the case. I sat in my cell for hours not knowing what was happening. Nobody would tell me anything. But then suddenly, they were taking me to a different room. The psychologist was there with the detective, and they had this look on their faces I couldn't read. She started asking me about the previous night with Tommy. I told her everything I could remember. We did homework, I made him mac and cheese, and then there was the incident with the letter. What letter? She asked. I explained how Tommy's teacher called me earlier that day because she couldn't get a hold of his parents. She told me Tommy had been bullying a disabled kid in his class. I was pretty mad when I heard that.
That's pretty messed up, Tommy. That's hella messed up.
I'd been bullied myself for factors out of my control when I was little, and I knew the pain Tommy was inflicting. So I made him sit down at the kitchen table and write a genuine, heartfelt apology letter to the boy. But Tommy didn't like that. He refused at first, then threw a tantrum when he realized I wasn't letting him watch cartoons until he wrote the letter. He finally did it, but afterwards he was super angry with me the entire rest of the day. The psychologist exchanged glances with the detective when I said that, and they left the room pretty shortly after. I sat there for what felt like forever. My hands were shaking, no idea what was happening. And then, after what seemed like hours, the door burst open. It was Mike and Sarah, and they rushed in with the psychologist. Sarah was crying hysterically. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Tommy lied. He admitted everything. He was mad about the letter and thought if you got in trouble, he wouldn't have to give it. We didn't know about the bullying or the lying or any of it. I just stared at them. These people who called me family destroyed my life without even asking what happened. Mike kept saying they would tell everyone the truth, but I could see it in their eyes. They knew what they'd done, couldn't be undone. When they finally released me that afternoon, nobody was waiting. My wife wouldn't answer my calls. My mother's phone went straight to voicemail. The school had already sent a formal letter terminating my employment. My brother had blocked my number.
Come on, why is every teacher in Reddit stories getting accused of inappropriate behavior with children? Just why?
Everything I'd built over 43 years was gone because a 7-year-old didn't want to apologize for bullying another kid.
He made me go homeless, so I made
Oh man, then R.I.P. to that teacher right there. Yeah. All right. I think this is the last story that we're gonna be checking out today. I'm not sure. Probably.
made me go homeless, so I made sure he could never sleep in comfort again. When you grow up poor, owning a home feels like a myth, something for movie families and bank ads, not for people like me. But I made it happen. Work.
Yep. uh,
Double shifts, no vacations, ate canned beans and instant ramen for years, and finally, I bought it. A little too bad.
Yep, average dinner when you don't have any money and the rent's due. Yep. Just some good old canned beans and instant ramen. Good.
Rough around the edges, but it was mine. Every nail in that wall, I hammered it. Every floorboard, I cleaned it. It wasn't just a house, it was proof I made it. My best friend.
Bro really just built his very own house with his own two hands. What is this, the 1800s?
Evan came to the housewarming, brought beer, gave the tour, said, "Damn, all this for you?" I laughed, said, "Yeah, man, I built this." He laughed too, but not with me, at me. Didn't register at the time, should've. A week later, I came home to sirens and smoke, flames swallowing everything I owned, neighbors outside in robes recording. They said it was faulty wiring, said the...
God damn it, I bet this was Devin. I bet Devin did this, honestly. I bet.
Insurance wouldn't cover it because of a missed inspection form. Police found no signs of arson, no suspects, no case. But I knew. Only one person knew about the delay with the inspection. Only one person made a comment about how nice it must be. Devin. He didn't just walk.
I fucking knew it. I just said it was probably Devin. And the moment I said that, Devin is the prime suspect. I am great at this.
Me build my dream. He burned it down. I moved into a basement room with 5 strangers and no windows. Shared a bathroom. Slept next to a busted water heater that hissed all night. And Devin, he posted hammock selfies. Sunday reset vibes. Blessed. Every night I lay there, back aching on a half-deflated air mattress, listening to rats in the ceiling. And I made a promise. If I couldn't sleep in peace, neither would he. It started small. I watched his house. I knew his habits. When he left the back door open, where the air vents led. When he walked his dog. One night, I brought a cage full of rats. Opened the crawl space. Let them in. The scratching started within days. He thought it was mine.
Reasonable crash out, OP. Reasonable crash out.
By the time pest control arrived, it was an infestation. Next, bed bugs, collected from a motel off the highway, carried in a pill bottle, sprinkled into his laundry basket, dusted onto his mattress seams. He never saw them coming, but he felt them, itching, red bumps, blood spots on sheets. He started posting less, smiling less. Then came the cockroaches, egg sacs hidden in the HVAC return. They spread like fire. By week 6, he couldn't sleep. By week 10, he was living out of a hotel. And when the exterminators finally came in and said, "It's safe now," that's when the real revenge began. I paid a visit to my Uncle Tarek, ex-cop, bitter, broke. Still had friends in evidence storage who'd trade silence for a few grand. I asked for something old, something forgotten. He gave me a glove, a real piece of evidence, from a kidnapping case 5 years cold. Still technically active, still
Nice. Alright, so what are you gonna do with that glove now? Frame Devin? Probably? Probably.
solved. I hired a runner, someone who owed me, gave him instructions. While Devin was away, he entered through the attic vent. He planted the glove inside a vacuum-sealed bag, along with rotting meat, spoiled milk, and a thrift store bag of kids' clothes soaked in ammonia. He taped a burner phone to the rafter, set to ring 3 times at...
I knew it! Again, I knew it! Oh man, I should probably start becoming a detective, right? Right? Alright, let's keep going.
2 a.m. every night. By the time Devin came home, the stench hit him like a wall. He found the bag, found the phone, didn't find the note I left, until 3 days later, under his pillow. "You burned mine down, so I made yours unlivable." He thought that was the end. Then I called it in. Anonymous tip. Check the attic at 1422 Halpine. Might be connected to the Williams case. The missing girl. They raided the place within 24 hours. Hazmat suits, flashlights, crime scene tape. Devin was cuffed in front of the neighbors. Booked, questioned, released. No charges, but the media had already picked it up. Cold case clue found in local man's attic. Didn't matter that the evidence was inconclusive. Didn't matter that he got out, because he didn't walk out the same. He spent everything on lawyers, had to sell the house, filed for bankruptcy, reputation wrecked, future torched. Now he lives in a one-room studio above a pawn shop. The insulation buzzes in the walls, the AC ticks.
Good riddance. Good riddance for OP, though.
He still scratches at his arms when no one's watching. Her teacher was a
Alright, so I lied. This is actually the last story I'm gonna be checking out today. Let's get back to it.
Her teacher was a predator, so I taught him a lesson he'll never forget. It started small, things that at first didn't even register.
Again, the teacher is the one who is the pred. What? Wow, what is it about teachers and little children? What? Why? Why is it always the teachers?
Is wrong. Mr. Hawthorne was the kind of teacher everyone liked, or pretended to. Early 40s wore those too tight dress shirts that screamed midlife crisis. Always cracking jokes, always the cool one. But the girls in class, they didn't laugh. They smiled, tight, uncomfortable smiles, and kept their heads down. At first I thought maybe they were just shy. It's high school. Everyone's awkward. But then I started noticing more. The way he'd call only on the girls. The way he'd lean too close when he talked to them. How he always seemed to accidentally brush their arms when handing back papers. How every time he said their names, it came out too soft, too familiar. One afternoon, I saw him
My predator senses are tingling. I think this is actually true and not just an accusation.
Emily, this quiet freshman, by the lockers. She was clutching her books so tight her knuckles were white. Mr. Hawthorne was smiling, talking low, too low. She nodded. Not the way you nod when you're agreeing, the way you nod when you just want to get away. When he finally left, I asked her if she was okay. She flinched like I'd hit her. "I'm fine," she said. Too fast. "I'm fine." But she wasn't. None of them were. I started paying closer attention after that. Watching, listening. There were patterns. Girls getting called after class for extra help. Girls getting special assignments no one else knew about. Girls getting private tutoring in his classroom during lunch. Always the girls. Always alone.
Fuck. All right, so I'd like to make an assumption that the private tutoring is actually the girls tutoring the teacher to I probably shouldn't say this on YouTube. Maybe I should start like a Spotify podcast like the others. Nah, I'm gonna stay here. But you know what I mean.
I tried talking to a few of them. They shut down fast. "He's just strict. I don't want any trouble. I need good grades." Fear. That's what it was. And when I finally, stupidly, told a teacher, they smiled politely and told me Mr. Hawthorne was a valued member of the staff. When I pushed harder, the counselor said, "Sometimes students misinterpret friendliness." Misinterpret? Number. They were covering for him. I realized 2 things that day. 1, no one was going to save those girls. And 2, if someone was going to stop him, it had to be me. But not by reporting him, not by playing fair. Mr. Hawthorne was careful. A predator wrapped in a cardigan. If I wanted to end him, I had to be smarter, darker, worse.
Predator wrapped in a cardigan. Isn't a cardigan kind of like a hoodie, sort of like a sweatshirt hoodie type of thing, like a sweater but a hoodie, and I don't really know how to explain, but yeah,
I started
probably.
small, a recorder hidden in my hoodie pocket, nothing fancy, just enough to catch the way Mr. Hawthorne talked to girls when he thought no one was listening. I captured hours of audio. Come by after school. We can go over it alone. You have so much potential. Special girls like you need special attention. You don't need to tell anyone about our meetings. Some people wouldn't understand, enough to make your skin crawl. But I didn't stop there. I went through yearbooks, past newsletters, looked at which students he singled out, who he mentored. The pattern went back years. Different faces, same story. Some of them had left the school. I found a few online through social media, old forums. I reached out carefully, not pushing, just offering an ear. Some ignored me, but a few responded. They told me stories worse than I imagined. Late night calls, inappropriate messages, threats when they tried to speak up. One girl, Amanda, said,
Mm. Mm.
he told her, no one will believe you. They'll just think you're a liar who wanted attention. And he was right. When she told the administration, they labeled her emotional and quietly suggested she transfer schools, which she did. I built a file. Audio recordings, testimonies, photos of Mr. Hawthorne getting too close, touching shoulders, hands lingering too long. But I still needed more. Mr. Hawthorne wasn't just slick. He was beloved. A reputation like a bulletproof vest. If I was going to destroy him, I had to turn his own world against him. I started by playing the long game, befriending him, staying after class, asking for help, laughing at his dumb jokes. It made me sick.
Yeah, I would also be sick if I had to be around that guy. And it's good that OP went into the classroom for special tutoring, because then the teacher isn't alone with the girls and can't do questionable things to them, you know? Yeah, it's a good thing he went in. So I'll just skip ahead, just a bit.
Victims, girls who had stayed silent, started coming forward. It snowballed, arrests, charges, court dates. And while Mr. Hawthorne's life burned down around him, I made sure he knew exactly who lit the match. One final package, printed screenshots, copies of testimonies, a single photo of Marley, my dog, sitting happily at my side, and a note, you picked the wrong class. Mr. Hawthorne didn't go down quietly. He tried to play the victim, claimed the photos were innocent, misinterpreted, said he was
I don't know what pictures you're talking about. I just got here, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't anything good, Yeah.
entering the girls. Nobody bought it, but watching him try, it was pathetic. Bail was set high, but not high enough. He scraped together money somehow. Family, friends, a few he hadn't discussed it yet. He got out for a while. I knew he'd be desperate. He had no job, no home, no allies. His reputation was radioactive, and desperate people make mistakes. I made sure of it. I slipped anonymous letters into his mailbox. Fake job offers. Prestigious ones. Universities, private schools, high salary, big titles. Each one was baked. Each one led to interviews that never existed. Only carefully timed appointments where reporters just happened to be waiting.
Good shit, This is actually good riddance for everyone here. So I'll just skip to the end, see how this plays out,
Benefits could be revoked for actions bringing disrepute to the institution. I gathered all the evidence again, packaged it neatly, submitted it to the board anonymously. It took 6 months, but when the ruling came down, it was beautiful. Pension revoked, permanent disbarment from teaching, all licenses pulled, name scrubbed from every award, every honor roll. He didn't just lose his present, he lost his past. The last time I saw him, he was sitting on the porch of his crumbling cabin, alone, pale, thin, a husk of the arrogant man who once thought he was untouchable. I didn't say anything. I just watched him for a while, let him feel it, the weight of every life he ruined pressing back on him. And then I turned and walked away. Because the truth is, monsters don't need cages, they need mirrors.
Good riddance, honestly. Good riddance. Yep. Good riddance. Don't mind the ad here. It's just a finish ad, finish. So yep, good riddance for the original poster here, and yeah, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Comment any ideas that you have, any people you'd like me to react to, and I'll see you guys some other time. Peace.